You are listening to This is Oklahoma, hosted by Mike Hearn, telling stories of Oklahomans and those that have made it their home.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of This is Oklahoma podcast. Mike Hearn here, your host, back with another episode. Excited to share this episode with you today, but before we do, I've got to thank our sponsors. First of all, the Oklahoma Hall of Fame. They've been a huge part of this podcast for the last few years. So the Oklahoma Hall of Fame have been sharing Oklahoma's story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com. And for daily updates, go to OklahomaHOF on Instagram and give them a follow. Our other sponsor today is the Chickasaw Nation. Now, the Chickasaw Nation have sponsored pretty much everything in Oklahoma. They're a huge supporter of Oklahoma, and it's an honor to have their name and their brand supporting this podcast. So a huge shout out to Governor Anatobi for supporting this podcast. It really means a lot. Our third sponsor is Diffie Ford Lincoln down in El Reno. Now, this one makes me so happy because these guys are great friends of mine, play a lot of golf together. I've bought my cars from them. Do most of my oil changes down there, have a cup of coffee, hang out down in El Reno. It's a good spot to go. And not only are they great friends, but they provide a great service. So for over 60 years, third generation family owned Oklahoma business down in El Reno. They're also in Bethany as well. So people in the Bethany area know the Diffies really well. But if you're looking for anything new, used, Ford, Lincoln, or whatever, I'm sure they could find anything you want. Check them out, diffieford.net, and then on Instagram at diffiefordlincoln. This episode is brought to you by the Doghouse OKC. Recently, I have been in need of some doggy daycare for my two pups, and the Doghouse have come in clutch. The team over there are incredible. They've taken care of my two golden doodles, and so it's been an honor to partner with them on the podcast and share the love. And the one thing that I do with the sponsors that I have is stuff that I use and recommend, like the Diffies with my car, Hall of Fame. They're awesome. Citizens Banks, where I bank. Chickasaw Nation, huge supporter of Oklahoma. And adding to that is the Doghouse. And so if you're in need of doggy daycare in the day or boarding overnight, they do grooming and other cool things too. But I've had a fantastic experience, and it's an honor and a privilege to share this with you too. So go to thedogHouseOKC.com and follow them on Instagram at thedogHouseOKC. And hopefully our pups will run into each other. There we go.
Hi, and welcome to This is Oklahoma.
That's definitely going in. Let's start there. You got a great radio voice. You're much better than me.
You know, we ran a podcast for 10 years, and it just got, it was successful, but just didn't get anywhere, you know? No.
You do a lot of things, though. Right?
I do a lot of things.
Yeah, and we'll get to all that.
Yes.
But people listening, welcome to This is Oklahoma podcast. We are at Bedford's Camera, a former stomping ground of mine. It's fun to come back. The guys at Bedford's are amazing, great team, and I know my guest today has been very involved with them and is a great photographer, and we can talk a lot about that. But before we get to the photography, we're going to set some context and talk about you. So when people meet you for the first time, what do you tell them? Who are you? What do you do?
Who am I and what I do?
Yeah.
I am a lifelong photographer, educator, image creator. That's my claim to fame. Okay. I didn't start off that way. Mm-hmm. I'm actually Spanish. So It's kind of cool meeting somebody from, the Great Britain area.
Where in Spain were you born?
Seville.
Okay.
Seville, Spain.
Military family?
Military family.
Makes
Dad
sense.
was Air Force. Mom was Spanish, so divided my life.
Yeah.
And, overseas as Europeans, we had to see a lot more of life. And I got a little too big for my britches when I was younger and went to go live with my dad. And they had no idea where to put me at because the education system overseas is so much better. It's true. So I went to a small town in North Carolina. I went from the 9th grade to the 12th grade in 1 year, except for American history and English.
Yeah.
Obviously, I lacked those areas.
Yeah.
So they said, well, we have all these other classes you can take, which is pretty uncommon in Europe. You get math every year, it just gets harder. And so they stuck me in the darkroom on the newspaper staff and for the yearbook, and fell in love with photography the first time I developed an image.
Wow. Okay, so what year is that?
1979.
Okay, so film photography, darkroom is kind of in its heyday.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
my first published photo was 1979. There was a wreck about a mile from my house, and I heard it in the middle of the night. living with my father. He was actually working late at a grocery store.
Yeah.
And I grabbed my Pentax MX and went down there. And the guy, I was first on scene before the fire department, anything, photographed the girl that had ran into a pole.
Jeez.
Newspaper guy gets there and he says, "Kid, I'll give you $25 for that roll of film." And I was like, sold.
Yeah.
$25 was a long way in 79. Then joined the military to get out of that small town in North Carolina and became a combat photographer in the Air Force.
Oh, wow.
So I was a photojournalist in the Air Force for 20 years and retired in 2001.
Yeah.
And I was going back to North Carolina and was working for Sea Ray Living magazine, which is a sport yacht magazine. And I'm not sure if you know, but off of I-40 that intersects the country, there's about 1,000 lakes within 100 miles north and south of I-40.
Okay.
So I was just basically going from L.A. all the way to North Carolina, up and down I-40, taking photos of all these personalities on their sport yachts. And I got stuck in Altus, Oklahoma during 9/11.
Wow. Which is where all the Air Force Base, the Air Force
the Air Force Base there. Now, I've never been stationed in Oklahoma, never been TDY to Oklahoma. It was never on my dream sheet of a place to go.
Yeah, Altus is not, it's quite far down the list.
Yeah. Everything rolls up at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I came up to the city. Bricktown was just starting because they had hotels. The editors told everybody to stay put while they figured out what was going on. And I kind of fell in love with the people, the area, and my military retirement goes a lot further in Oklahoma than did North Carolina. So I went and saw my family, like, "Oh my God, you were so happy you're back after 20 years. And I'm like, I'm going to go to Oklahoma and try it out for a year or two. And I've been here ever since. I love Oklahoma.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Because North Carolina is beautiful. Rolling
it is gorgeous.
Hills, amazing colors in the fall. Like, I went to a wedding there 2 years ago and I was like, this is unbelievable. Like, it looks
it's
like
crazy.
A picture,
lots of bugs, lots of heat.
And bears too.
Oh my God. Yeah.
We saw a few of those. But I want to dive into the military photography thing. Tell me about that. Like,
it was the best job in the world.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible.
I love planes. I mean, what guy doesn't nerd out about planes? But like, still, are you hanging out the back of a C-130 shooting like promo shots of just planes and stuff?
I got close to 1,500 hours of flying time in fixed wings and about 1,000 hours in rotary wings. So it was a long process. You become a photographer first, a still photographer, and then I went to photojournalism school in Denver, the precursor. Then I went to Syracuse University, and that was in 92. And then you get your fly-in designation, go through all of your different stuff, your survival training to get your wings, and then you fly back seat.
Wow.
So it's definitely kind of fun. I've photographed 5 living presidents, the Pope, been to 80 countries. It was absolutely the best time of my life for 20 years.
And, I mean, are you in combat? Are you ever in harm's way as well?
I've been in harm's way a few times, but again, this is Air Force.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right.
Let's be realistic here.
Yeah.
You know,
you're flying above the problems.
You're flying above the problem. You get to embed with the Marine Corps occasionally. In Bosnia Herzegovina, I did some time in there. A lot of the missions for K4 in Africa, you go down and document that stuff. So even though it's called combat photography, it encompasses everything. Your day is basically made up of grip and grims, accident reports, forensics, that kind of stuff.
You're not running around with an M4 or a pistol.
No. In fact, I started shooting digital photography in 1989 with a modified Nikon F3 camera. And because of the weight of the gear we had to carry, they took away our M16 and gave us a 9mm. So we'd paint the last 2 bullets in the magazine so we could look through the porthole, and those are for you to take yourself out.
Oh my gosh! I mean,
did I just blow your mind this morning? Okay,
just like I did not. That's the last thing I expected you to say was like military photojournalism, like Air Force.
It will definitely photojournalism in general. I feel really helps you become a well-rounded individual because you need to break the ice in 5 minutes, get a shot, and get out. And then, of course, we always have the discussion about how much does your interaction create a different dynamic when you're on set. are the players going to act differently because a camera's in their face?
Yeah.
And of course, in today, everybody having a cell phone, you've seen that happen at demonstrations, at crime scenes or whatever. Someone pulls a phone out and starts recording, and now everything changes. Mm-hmm. So it's hard sometimes to get true photojournalism where your footprint isn't changing the action.
Yeah. Yeah, well, especially when you're in such a high stakes environment like, that you're in. And you're
absolutely.
photographing presidents and popes too, which they're used to being photographed, and that's probably the bonus of shooting them. But when you're trying to get raw, in the life images, you want to get those experiences.
Yeah, definitely difficult. I spent almost 4 months at the White House press corps. So that was really fun with President Clinton.
Yeah.
So I got to photograph him as a governor of Arkansas and as a president.
Yeah.
So it was definitely pretty fun. But, being able to have all the equipment to play with.
Yeah, you've got a great budget.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you're in charge, you get to pick the budget.
You get to pick the budget too, yeah.
Which is pretty
really
cool.
Need this. Yeah.
Everybody would get, back in the film days, you'd get camera body, you'd get a 28, a 50, and a 135.
Okay.
2 camera bodies, a flash, and 50 rolls of film. That was your kit. And then we had an equipment locker, and everybody had chits, which is just a little piece of metal with your number stamped on it. Okay. So you could go to the equipment locker, and you would grab, a 600 f4 and put your chit up there, so we knew where that lens was at the time. And I will say the Nikon 8mm is so wide, you got to kind of hide your fingers back behind it because it actually looks behind the lens.
Oh, wow.
So it's pretty cool. I took some photos with that and a 16mm fisheye, where I mounted the teeth above and below the lens to make it look as though the dentist was actually in my mouth. And that went out for a couple of newspapers.
That's amazing. Let's stay on this for a little bit. Best photo you've had from favorite photos, not one. I'm sure they can't just be one. Favorite photos you've had published during that time in the military.
I've done a lot of stuff. The most probably, I'm not going to say terrifying, but the one thing that made me the most nervous was photographing the Berlin Wall coming down. So there was a team of 3 of us, and we were in civilian clothes, had our IDs in our shoe underneath the foam padding, just in case we got caught.
Wow.
With our blue passports, which are your tourist passports versus your black ones. And
so you had black ones because you're military?
Right.
Okay, I didn't know that.
So because of the security clearance and some of the areas we'd go in, we'd have diplomatic passports. Okay. But in a hot zone, you don't want to pull that out first.
No.
You want to be...
Because you are the enemy at that point.
Exactly. Yeah. And I really wanted them to give me Canadian passports because who doesn't love Canadians?
Yeah, true.
Right?
Yeah.
Americans are always
nicest people in the world.
They're the nicest people in the world. I couldn't say that I have a favorite, but one that comes to mind, Holloman, New Mexico, had a flight of orange tails. Now, not orange tails, the African-American flowers from World War II, but these were orange tails, which were old, I believe they were old 100 sabers or 200 or 101 sabers.
Okay.
And they were remote controlled in the air, and they were used over White Sands Missile Range for target practice and experimental air-to-air missiles. But to get these babies off the ground, once you got up in the air, you had a pilot in a similar aircraft behind it actually flying his and the other one remotely.
Oh, wow.
And so I photographed this guy in front of this aircraft. I'm not sure if I have it somewhere digitally, but he was 72 years old and still flying.
That's awesome.
And it was pretty awesome. And I remember the shot not so much because of how cool it was, but because of the high-speed sync with the flashes they had come out with by Nikon, and being able to use that high-speed sync outside and light his face up and control the background of the plane behind him. We were just I went back, processed the slides, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, this is amazing!" Yeah. So it was really nice.
Yeah, that is really cool. Do you ever shoot? I had a pilot, former Air Force pilot on the podcast who flew A-10s. And so, do you ever take any photos of those?
Took lots of shots of them in close combat support. Lots of exercises. You go out for Red Flag in Las Vegas or whatever. There's only a very few 2-seater A-10s.
Yeah.
So they're very hard to get a ride on.
Yeah.
But they're basically a tank in the sky. Those things are bulletproof.
It's crazy. Yeah,
The amount of damage those things can take and still land safely is incredible.
Yeah.
And to see those things fire off, they're pretty badass.
Yeah, he was saying that like when you shoot the gun that's in the front in the nose, the plane lifts up.
Yeah, it's just a lot of kick. I mean, if you look at the A-10, that weapon system goes halfway back to the plane.
They built the plane around the weapon system.
Exactly. And then they put a bathtub on there for the pilot because you're so close. I mean, these guys are coming down, 60, 70 feet off the deck.
Yeah.
There's a lot of small arm fires. You don't want that to get nailed.
Do you ever have any fun kind of pilot experiences that guys were like, okay, now you've done your job. Now we're gonna like do some rolls and take you through the canyon.
Yeah, they always say, "Oh, do you want to fly? Do you want to fly the 16? Sure." Yeah. Like you really believe I'm in the back seat flying that thing?
Right.
Let's be realistic.
Yeah.
He's got his hand right there on that stick, so I don't do something stupid and kill us. Probably. A fun part is at Aviano Air Base, we had a complement of CH-41s.
Okay.
Those babies are...
They big, small?
Oh, they're big. They're big. The big twin helicopters.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay, the cargo helicopters. And they are just amazing pieces of machinery.
They sound great, too.
Oh, my God. They got a nice little pop, pop, pop. So, you had the reserve and the guard that rotate in, do their 2 weeks. And those guys are crazy. They're nuts because they don't get to play too often.
Yeah.
And so I caught a ride on one to just do some aerial shots above Aviano because we were in Operation Deny Flight at the time, just to get some aerial shots going down. So you have a little monkey strap that you attach to the back. And so that way you can walk kind of really close to the edge of the platform. And then they'll rotate up 15, 20 degrees, and I'll just kind of like stick the camera over and take shots almost straight down. So one thing that the Army guys like to do is the crew chief will grab like a couple of extra inches in his hand, and then once you start walking the edge, you pull your tether and make sure you're good. And then, you kind of start leaning over the edge, and he lets go, and you just kind of have that initial, and it's only
half a second. Yeah. But it's enough.
It's enough. And, of course, that's a big laugh, you know.
Yeah, hopefully you don't drop the camera.
Yeah, hopefully you don't drop the camera.
I'm sure there's some of those stories, too.
Oh, there's a lot of those stories. You work a lot with public affairs, so you do the base guides. And when I was at Alamogordo, I got our team to go to the Albuquerque Balloon Fest.
Okay.
Under the pretense that we need photos of the Balloon Fest to showcase that as hey, Alamogordo is a great place to come. We got a balloon fest, and 2 of my photographers were in a balloon. I was going to go next. So there's a box effect. That's why that's so popular. They can go up to a certain altitude, go west, drop down, then come back east. They could basically land in the same place they took off because of the wind directions. And so we're sitting there waiting. I'm like, man, they were just going to be out for like an hour. Like it shouldn't be this long. And so what happened was there was a mishap on the balloon. So you have the pilot, another guest, and my 2 photographers in the balloon basket. On the way back, he got too low and clipped some electrical wires and dropped the basket in a feedlot in a big pool of cow feces.
All the places you don't want to land.
And they come back and I'm like, well, where's the film? Where's the cameras? Well, where's the film? They're like, it's at the bottom.
Yeah, you do not want to see any of this stuff. Or smell it or try and find it.
And they're like, we need to get back and get a shower. I'm like, hop in the back of the truck because you're not sitting in the cab.
No.
That's not happening.
Get in the truck bed. I don't want to see it be anywhere near downwind of you.
No, not at all. They were pretty bad. We hosed them off the best we could with a fire hose and got the chunks off of them and stuff. But completely lost all the equipment. So I had to do a big report, lots of paperwork with the government.
Yeah.
And I just got to the point where it's like, I'm not even writing feces anymore. I'm just going to write. Landed in a pond, swam for their life, and all equipment was gone.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. That was probably not a good day.
No, it was a great day.
Superiors are really happy.
It could have happened to me.
Yeah. Well, it could have been a lot worse too. I mean, electrical wires and
yeah, it could have been a lot more harmful than that. After that incident, we were kind of put on a slightly tighter leash when I would ask for shoots outside of the base area.
Jeez. So, how long did you do that for?
20 years.
20 years. And got out because you just retirement?
Actually, I'll give you the short story. I guess all the travel and the wildlife of the military. When I was 19 years in the service, they discovered kidney cancer, and they pulled my kidney.
Okay.
And removing my kidney took me off of fly-in status.
Oh, yeah.
Took me off of mobility worldwide. They tried to discharge me.
Yeah.
And so I went to all these guys that I knew that were start off as lieutenants and captains that were now generals at the Pentagon. I'm like, I just want to complete my 20 years. I just want to retire honorably. So I got a waiver, and I actually closed down the motion picture lab at Lompoc, California, Vandenberg.
Oh, wow.
So helped close that down my last year, rewrote the requirements for photographers in the Air Force, and did a whole bunch of paperwork, but they let me stay out, and I retired 1 September 2001.
Brilliant, which is just gone, September.
Works in perfectly. Yeah. And with all of that stuff, I still have to pay full price for coffee. Like, no one honors American heroes anymore.
Yeah, I will say, though, that's one thing that the U.S. does a lot better than the UK. The pride for the military here is far greater than the pride for the military back home.
It is, but we're still a new country.
Yeah. True.
So we still have a lot more to learn.
Yeah.
And they do help veterans. I'm a 100% disabled veteran. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of extra benefits you get from the state of Oklahoma as, whereas education benefits for your kids, et cetera. But, again, we're still a young country. People look at other countries and their happiness. And, I think the United States is going to get there, but we still have a lot of chaos and turmoil to go through to be able to get those growing pains out of the way. I mean, we've been doing this for 250 years.
Yeah, which isn't that long at all.
Which is zero compared to England. Mm-hmm. I mean, come on, you guys got history. You guys go back.
I think 1,000 years old. I mean, the castle I used to walk through to go to school is over 1,000 years old.
See, exactly.
As a kid. Yeah.
Here we're lucky if we can find a coin from the 1850s.
It's very true. So you get out of the military.
Got out of the military.
But obviously, photography and photojournalism is your thing.
That is my thing. I've worked a few little retail jobs.
Yeah.
But always done photography all my life.
Okay. So you transition, you're not doing photos of military stuff anymore. How does that transition? You mentioned the I-40 thing and end up in Oklahoma, but how do you have any idea when you get out? You're like, I can start my life again. What do I get to do?
It's one of those where it's photos of people.
Okay.
Now I'm transitioning again because the cancer came back and I'm kind of dealing with that. So that's kind of put me on my butt. Actually, last year at PhotoCon, I was in the hospital across the street.
Oh, were you really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I was able to make PhotoCon the last 30 minutes. But I was fighting for my life across the street in the hospital.
I'm glad you're here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Some people would say that. But when you look at the business of photography itself, and I'm not a great photographer. I'm not that good. I talk a good game, and I think that I can connect with people pretty easily, and I think the military and the photojournalism training helps you with that. Mountains just don't pay to get their portraits taken.
Very true.
I love taking landscape stuff. I mean, I'm involved in a project right now with a battle buddy of mine, Fielding. It's called Forgotten Main Street. Okay. And we've done 3 trips where we've got a book out. And we basically travel and look at the people, places, and things off of the main drag. Mm-hmm. In America, Main Street was always the center of the world.
Yeah.
Until the interstate sections came around and bypassed a lot of the small towns. So a lot of those small towns that we visited, they're kind of stuck in time in the 1950s and 60s.
Yeah.
And a lot of them have dried up. So we kind of focus on that. We use vintage lenses paired with our Fujifilm cameras. And so we're kind of...
still fit?
Well, yeah, you just use an adapter. This is the best thing since sliced bread.
The adapter?
The lenses.
Oh, okay.
So think of these lenses that I'm a kind of a bit of a history buff.
Yeah.
So these lenses that you have no idea the road they traveled to get to your hands,
Right.
and they still work. You know, the world is so caught up in a clinical sharpness and a perfection of capture that sometimes we lose the storytelling ability. So we're using vintage lenses from the 50s, 60s, and 70s to photograph vintage items from that same time period.
That's really cool.
And really have fallen in love with it. And then you pair that with the color simulations of the Fuji film system, and wow, you just can't go wrong.
So Fuji is your shooter of choice.
Man, I spent 35 years shooting Nikon. I love the brand. But as I got older, you know, the full frame cameras and the big cameras are pretty heavy after a while. And then you start thinking, man, would my clients know the difference really between a full frame and a crop factor?
Yeah.
Not at all.
They wouldn't. Yeah, wouldn't even notice.
Not at all. So I still do commercial work with the Fuji. I've slowed that down a lot over the last year, but I've done. So if you go to Bricktown Brewery, do you like Bricktown Brewery?
I've been a few times. Yeah.
Okay, so when you go in there and you see those spot color shots of their copper kettles, that's all my work.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is funny because those were done like 15 years ago.
Still there.
When it was. You know, we used to joke as photographers where like, oh, spot colors is for amateurs. I believe that beauty is in the eye of the checkbook holder. And if they're paying the check, I will do whatever the hell you want me to do.
Mm-hmm. I'll give you my professional opinion, but I will tell you we want
Absolutely.
That done.
And I won't even give you an opinion. That costs extra.
If you want consultation, I will tell you. But
absolutely. So, you know, the transitioning between the military, it's still photography.
Yeah.
I am a practical photographer. It doesn't really make a difference what you're shooting. The principles are all the same.
Yeah.
You know, there's some different nuances between shooting a family or shooting a wedding, an engagement session, a boudoir session. But there's still people, they all want to look good, but they all want to have a great experience. You can give them the best photo you've ever taken of them, but if you're an ass...
Yeah. That's the stuff that I get, you know, just through knowing you through other people, I get the sense that is your unique selling point. I guess it would be a terrible way to put it, but you're very comfortable. Like you said, you're not a great photographer. You don't think you're a great photographer, but you have that comfort factor that you get the best out of people because they're totally comfortable. Whereas, like you said, if you come in and you're an ass, like the person, you might take a great photo, but they're like, I don't feel like
it's all about the marketing. You know, shooting weddings of, I don't even know how many weddings I've shot.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure I've probably hit close to 1,000 weddings over my lifetime.
Right.
And I would joke that we pick 20 weddings a year. And while I'm not the best photographer, I may be the best photographer for you. So I've never had a crazy bride, ever. Because I meet with all brides and grooms beforehand, just to make sure we're going to have a good relationship.
Yeah. Communication is key.
And I don't care who pays the bill, the bride and the groom are my clients. And that really rubs wrong with some parents.
Yeah, especially
and I just told them, we're not a good fit. Let me recommend somebody for you.
Yeah.
I have a wide variety of friends I could recommend, but Robert Trawick isn't the guy you have come to a very structured and scheduled Catholic ceremony. Yeah. I'm kind of a little bit more out of the box. You want to have some fun? I'm your guy.
Yeah. And that it takes a lot of confidence too in knowing, you know, especially turning down people, right? You're like, hey, we're not a good fit. Because a lot of photographers, or business owners, not just photography, they want to take every job that comes their way. And, you know, when you get to a point where you're like, hey, this is not going to be fun for me, you know, it's definitely not going to be fun for you, so let me refer you to someone, right? And I'm sure that happens to others as well. And you get referred or whatever it is. Like
Absolutely. I think that the interpersonal connection is more important than the photography. I mean, I'm sure you've flipped through magazines and you go, God, I could take a much better shot than that. But you were not at the right place at the right time to get that call, and other people are. And I feel, and again, this is my out-of-the-box personality thinking, photography is a creative personal journey. And it's different for everybody. And no one is better or worse than you are. Right. We're all just different. But it's human nature to try and rack and stack. Where do I compare? How much do you sell your 8x10s for? Oh, well, mine are 45, mine are 75. Well, you must be better. Or camera. My God, a new camera comes out, guys will jump on that like, a duck on a June bug. But girls, on the other hand, they build a relationship with their camera to the point where they're duct taping and gluing it, trying to keep this technology going. And the quality or the storytelling isn't really in the camera, it's in the lens.
Yeah.
And people forget that. It's like buying a Ferrari and putting cheap tires on it. Yeah, you got a Ferrari, but it ain't going to take the corners very well.
Yeah.
So buy the best glass you can, because your bodies are just going to rotate out as technology changes.
Yeah.
And you don't have to have the very best, but you got to go out and shoot and practice every day. You can't shoot one weekend and then 3 weeks later pick up the camera and expect to be able to do it. So you saw me walk on my camera bag. That's my daily carry. I take it with me everywhere. If I go to the grocery store, because you never know when something is going to pop up. You never know. I take thousands of photos that no one will ever see. And they're just for me to practice something that caught my eye and take that photo and get that shot.
It's reps, right?
Exactly. It's all about the reps. It's all about muscle memory. Can you pick up that camera and change settings easily without having to think?
Yeah.
And I feel photographers get lost in that. We get stuck in that gear mode. And we immediately say, oh, well, this is 100 megapixel. It's got to be a better picture. Well, 100 megapixels of out of focus crap is still crap.
It's still crap.
So work on all the other things and find the area that fits what you like so that you can be happy. And then find a way to sell it or make money.
Yeah.
I make fun of wildlife and nature photographers all the time. And as I'm getting older and I just can't keep up with all the young kids shooting weddings and portraits and seniors every time, I'm transitioning a lot into that as well. In fact, I started a new group with 4 of the photographers called Red Dirt Photographers. And it just kind of started on a whim of the photography business model is shoot once, sell once. Where art, man, those artist guys, they got that down.
Yeah.
Create it one time and sell it many times. Now, maybe you're not getting the same return on investment all the time, but, I've done a few little art shows in the past. And so we had this art show coming up. Brian Pearson, he has a lake house nearby. And he's like, what about this art show in Salazar? I'm like, I'm going to get like 5 or 6 people together and let's split the fee, because the fees are pretty expensive.
Yeah.
Well, this one is their second year. It's called the Red Autumn Art Festival, and it's only $45. So I could have totally gone and done it by myself. But having other people to do it, and we're just going to set up a 10 by 10. Everybody's going to get a panel. They're going to hang their images up, and it's just going to be a great time to socialize. Yeah. But the group that we have in there, there's not a competition factor.
Right.
We can sit there and admit that, hey, well, Brian takes great bison photos. Yeah. Ken takes amazing wildlife photos. Jim, Jim Felder, credible freaking real estate photographer. And by the way, Jim's pretty freaking creative. Very creative. He just doesn't let that side come out a lot. So I think that a group like that helps push. You find your tribe.
Yeah.
And it helps push everybody forward a little bit. So I'm kind of dabbling around. I got a new website called Dixie Photo Art, where I'm using that to post some of my artsy shots. And, haven't made a sale yet, but it's going to happen.
Well, and I think you touched on it too. It's just forcing yourself to be creative and getting around guys who do things a little differently.
Correct.
Because you don't have to do the same thing as them, but you see something that they do for either animal photography or wildlife photography, like, oh, I can take that to what I do.
Absolutely.
Just a little trend. Oh, they might do this. I can take this to photographing people. And I have a friend of mine who's a DJ, right? And he's creative, and and we were talking about music the other day, and he's like, I never listen to the music that I play all the time, because how would I get better if I just listen to the music that is in the genre that I play?
You got to expand.
You listen to multiple genres. Same in photography. You listen to you do multiple different genres of photography, and it's going to make you a better, well-rounded
You have to experiment to find your lane.
Yes.
And then when you find your lane, every once in a while you got to go off in the ditches. Because you just have to. Funny thing, I bought a record player recently.
Okay.
I've made a lot of jokes, a lot of jokes with my kids about them wanting a record player. Because I lived through records.
Yeah. Well, and also to mention, like, things that are coming back. Like,
oh, my
film
God,
photography
yes.
is coming back. Records are coming back.
Yes, I want to know when the 8-track's coming back.
Yes, all these things.
So I went and got a record player. My idea is, just with everything going on in your life, and you come face to face with Grim Reaper a couple times, it kind of changes your dynamics. And you're like, I don't want to slow down in the sense that I want to quit anything, but I need to find more time for myself to heal. Yeah. So I thought, let me get a record player, right? We get a couple of records, and I'm just going to play those an hour a night before bed. Turn off all the screens, read a book, think, whatever the case may be. And at Guest House Records, they have a bin, and it says cheap albums. And when I mean cheap, they're like $3, $2. You know what I'm talking about, right? So I told the wife, I said, okay, you go get a couple of people that you like. I'm going to get a couple of people I like. I love Miles Davis. Yeah. Okay. I love a good jazz song. But I'm not opposed to Maroon 5. I can go wide genre. And I said, just so that we can experiment with different music, let's just reach into that cheap album and just grab like 5 in the middle. Like, don't even look at them. Don't flip through them. Let's just build a collection. And, I got to tell you, there's been some, I got picked up an Earth, Wind and Fire, which I hadn't listened to a lot of their songs. And that was pretty good. Grand Funk Railroad picked up. Okay. It's got a couple of hisses and pops, but come on, for $2?
Yeah. Well, it's just that roulette.
But you're right. Just like your DJs, just experiment and listen to other music, because you never know when that bride or groom or that event is going to ask for something unusual.
Like, I have the song for you. Well, not to mention, it's a really nice way for you to connect with your wife and kids too.
Yes.
That's the byproduct as well.
It's the byproduct. I love my kids. I love my animals more, but...
What animals do you have? Let's not talk about
Well,
kids.
I'm down to one dog. She's my rescue. We rescued her on Christmas, the day after Christmas, about 10 years ago. Okay. And so we named her Noelle. Mm-hmm. And so I had Cavaliers. I lost both of my Cavaliers over the last 2 years. And we also had a Labrador that belonged to my mother's wife. When she passed, we got her. And they've since gone. And Noelle's still here. And it's funny because we got her, and I didn't want to go drop her off at the time I was living in Mustang at the animal shelter. You just put them in a box, close it, and they come on the next duty day and pick them up. So I kept the dog at the house, and I told my wife, I said, let's run to McNeil's, 24-hour vet, see if she has a microchip. Maybe we can return her. So they checked, no microchip. And I said, well, can you just check her and make sure she doesn't have anything going on with her? Because I don't want her to infect my Cavaliers. And the doc's like, and she's kind of a Weimaraner Labrador mix. She kind of has, oh my God, she's beautiful. Mm-hmm. Old, lots of gray. And I figured she was an older dog. And doc says, no, she's only like 2 or 3, but she's already had a couple of litters. So she was probably in some kind of breeding program. Yeah. And surprisingly, in Oklahoma, that's unusual for the moms to live, because once they've outlived their capacity.
Productive.
Correct.
Senses,
they normally put them down.
Yeah.
And of course, the doctor says that. I turn to my wife and go, we just adopted another dog. I said, give her all her shots. She's coming home with us. Yeah. And she's pretty cool. She's very mellow. Doesn't do anything but sleep all day long.
Love that.
Got her on pig ears. She knows when 7:30 p.m. comes for her pig ear treat. She's great. And, I love animals a lot. They really comfort me, and they help a little bit with the PTSD and just kind of like take that edge off because they don't want anything.
No, they're happy.
They're totally happy. They don't care if you're fat, sad, broke, rich, whatever. They just want you to hold them and love on them.
Yeah. I got 2 back home, and they're the best things ever. They could, dogs over cats. Dogs are the best. I love cats.
Yeah, cats you don't
love dogs.
you don't have a relationship with a cat. You're a provider.
They rule you.
Yes, if the aliens come down and saw somebody with a cat, they go, "Oh, that's the master." Of course, we're out running around picking up dog poop every time we go, so there's that as well.
Yeah.
But photography is my passion, so I love talking about it. I love doing it.
Yeah.
And I love helping other people succeed in it.
Yeah, and I think, there's so much to teach and so much to learn because you're still learning every day.
Oh my God, absolutely.
Like I said, there's so many different things, and you just talk about your setup now. You have a historic camera, a historic lens.
This lens is.
But still, like you're learning, and it's amazing how technology is going to change.
It is. But the principles always stay the same.
The rules and the lessons of great photography still stay the same.
Absolutely. So you have your ISO, shutter speed, aperture, and light. Mm-hmm. Everybody talks about the triangle of exposure. Yeah. It's actually a box. Because everybody forgets to talk about light. Because if you ain't got light,
you ain't got anything.
You ain't got anything.
Yeah.
Although I've always thought about having a couple of like solid black prints in a gallery.
Seeing what happens.
Yes. And then I have one completely white. And then so people talk about like, oh, what's this? Like, oh, well, this is a black cow at night, and this is a snow bunny in snow. Because the
exposure's turned all the way up.
Yeah, just turn it all the way up. And I pick on artists a lot too because I feel a lot of times in the discovery of being an artist and trying to communicate that we will get sloppy. Yeah. And we'll make excuses for quality. W Magazine, I love shooting fashion. W Magazine is classic for me. I'll open up the first 4 covers and you'll look at it and you'll go, this is like an out of focus grain. Like I know I can do better, but I didn't connect. And that is, it's telling a story. All of those different elements we have as a photographer are different pieces in the paragraph of communication.
Yeah, definitely.
And so like this one right here, my wife picked up in Denver on a trip, and it's a 21 millimeter Solagore from 1974. And she picked it up for $50.
Brilliant. Because,
it works.
Who knew who the young kids coming up, they're like, oh, we're going to do that.
Who knew?
Yeah.
Who knew it all?
And brand new, it was how much?
Oh my God, brand new. I mean, God, 21 millimeter back then. And, we always talk about the vintage, and I try and go retro is like 1980, manual focus 1980 and now.
Yeah.
That's retro. Okay. Vintage is like pre-1980 before the computers really got introduced in the design of lenses. And you would have guys on a table, really big table, dropping in lens elements and shooting laser beams through it, and then go back and actually polish up glass and elements and make it work and go try it. Yeah. It was more of an artisan type world.
Like building old watches, right?
Oh, do you like watches?
I mean, I can't. I dabble a little bit. That's a rabbit hole we should probably not go down.
I think we should totally go down that because, my phone, I actually put on airplane mode, but it listens to me, and I'm not a fan of Apple Watches. I'm an Apple guy.
There's nothing worse. Do you talk about weddings? There's nothing worse than seeing a beautiful bride or bridesmaids taking photos, and they've got this stupid freaking Apple Watch on, and if they take it, just take it off.
Take it off.
They tan your wrist, so your watch tan's gone. Exactly. But there's nothing worse than like seeing
it's horrible.
Beautiful classic bridal photo, and
now with the big ultras, you seen those things?
It's terrible.
It's horrible. Yeah. So I like hands. Mm-hmm. I want to be able to look at my hands. I do not need another device going off. No. I don't need a Dick Tracy watch. No.
Buzzing away, an email notification. Who cares?
Who cares about that stuff? Yeah. And I think that the kids are going to get back to that eventually. They're going to understand they need to unplug more and not be so connected to the rest of the world. I mean, when I was growing up, dude, you punched out at work, you went home. Yeah. There's no way to get a hold of you.
See you tomorrow.
They're going to call the phone at home. The ringer's off.
Yeah.
I'm not going to find out until tomorrow. And we lived perfectly. We survived.
Right.
Now you got text message, email, Facebook Messenger. I'm like, just send me a text is probably the easiest.
Yeah. I've always kind of worked for myself, so I've never had that Friday at 5 laptop shut till Monday situation.
Oh, no.
but I do long for it. You know, like it'd be nice to just have a weekend where you're like, I don't have to do anything related to work. You know, but I'm in the real estate industry, so the weekends is like my time to earn money.
You're doing real estate.
Yeah, so which is entertaining at the moment. I can tell you that much.
It's very entertaining.
Yeah,
I love hearing all the stories that
photography
Jim
too
tells me.
Different, but yeah, it's. We could again dive down that rabbit hole, but I want to talk about your relationship with Bedfords. How does that come about, and how do we get into this whole PhotoCon? Because you're speaking at PhotoCon this year.
I'm speaking at PhotoCon. I love helping people get better. I can't relive the moments where I discovered something shallow depth of field, but I can help somebody else. I can watch their light bulb go off, and I can share in that moment, and that is a juice. I'm telling you right now, when you help someone get over that stumbling block that's keeping them from advancing, and then you just watch them skyrocket.
You open a new world.
You open up a new world. I absolutely love that. So I've been in bed with Bedfords for, this will be the 12th year for PhotoCon. So I've been working with them for about 15 years. And I'm not afraid to embarrass myself. I don't care what I look like. You know, I have my own opinions, and I think that's what makes me relatable to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And PhotoCon has grown immensely. We have national speakers. We have great local speakers. This year is going to be fun because it's on Halloween.
Yeah.
We have had this happen before. It's kind of fun because when PhotoCon started, it was in March.
Oh, really? Okay.
That's my birthday month. Actually, Jim and I have the same birthday.
Yeah.
So we're identical. We're about 2 hours apart. I was born in Spain. He was born in North Carolina.
Yeah.
March 30th, 1963.
Brilliant.
And so it only works if I say it. So if he says,
my dad's
Rob and I.
My dad's May 31st of 63. Sorry.
Oh, I was his birthday.
Close enough.
Your dad.
My dad, yeah.
Wow, thank you.
Sorry.
Appreciate that. Nice way. I guess we're not going to be holding hands, dating, and drinking tea later on. Wow.
We can drink tea. We won't be dating and holding hands.
No, do you drink tea?
I'm from the UK. Of course, that's all I drink.
Of course you drink tea. I was going to text you and say, hey, do you want some tea? You want some Earl Grey on the way over here?
Yeah.
I'm more of a coffee drinker. That's a Spanish thing.
Yes.
Very Spanish. But so PhotoCon was in March, and that was my birthday present.
Yeah.
So we would have birthday parties for Jim and I, and Alex Dugan, which also has the same birthday.
Yes.
Not 63. She's a lot younger.
Yeah, I got the feeling she was a lot younger when I spoke to her on the phone.
Oh, yeah. A lot younger. A lot younger. So we would have a big birthday party for the three of us. Colleen Brown was from Australia, same birthday.
Okay.
She moved to Dallas, sadly, so maybe she'll come up. But it's a great learning experience. There's great sales in the trade show. But to me, it's like family.
Yeah.
Like there's people that I will only see at PhotoCon.
It's a huge reunion.
And it's a big reunion. It's fun. So this year it's going to be on Halloween Day.
Yeah.
We have Jonathan Thorpe coming out. He's going to be he's very well known for his cinematic horror type shoots. And that's going to be awesome. Alex is going to be there doing puppies. The website has got all the information. Go to PhotoCon OKC.com. It has the schedules. We're building programs right now for all the swag bags for the attendees. We're encouraging everybody to come out in costume.
Yeah, why not?
I'm going to have the Model A Club come out again. Brilliant. That was really a hoot.
Yeah.
And of course the models who dressed up in period flapper outfits.
Yeah.
Let's see who else we have. We are going to have a scary darkroom area that you can go into. We're going to have vignettes. Okay. They're going to be set up for Halloween where you can come in and grab a model or even your family and take a photograph. Family friendly. The Thursday events are always free. So it's a gigantic, big photo adventure with your best buds and friends, and it's just going to be a blast.
Well, and the thing I love about PhotoCon is that you can come in as a complete novice, have a great time, get to meet people, like-minded people like yourself, but also you get to meet all these industry people that aren't like, oh, I take photos, and I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not that, like, it's not like the wine community, which I like, everyone looks down on their nose at you because you're not a wine drinker.
Yes, yes, your nose went too far into the glass.
Exactly, right? Photo is like, just come out, have fun, and shoot photos.
Yeah, that's it.
Of whatever you want to take photos of. You know,
it makes no difference. Jamie is going to be out there with Smallville, which I'm not sure if you've seen that.
I haven't. No.
So Jamie kind of, as a little bit of her creative part, because she does a lot of social media, a lot of events, started shooting miniatures.
Okay, like building miniature towns.
Like miniature towns, miniature people, little dinosaurs, and actually making stories from those posts, which are great from a social media standpoint. You don't have to get a model. You can shoot it anytime you want. They don't eat. They don't cry. They don't need to go to the bathroom.
Yeah. And you can rebuild a set in like a tiny space. You're not taking up giant spaces.
Absolutely.
Right?
Small
you don't need a movie
space.
set.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
So she'll be out there with a couple of setups for on Thursday for the Envoy. We have Luna Renova.
Yeah.
There's going to be there with some of the cars.
Car stuff, yeah.
I mean, come on.
It's
going to be great.
Last week, actually, Lou was talking about because he's got back into film now, so he's gone back the analog way. Because we talked about relating the car world is moving away from cars driving themselves and Teslas and all that stuff to like, I want an experience now. I want to drive a stick car. I want to hear the engine. I want to do polish chrome, whatever it is that you want to do. And it's the same with photography. And he mentioned records. He's got back into records. All this stuff. So things are coming back around that people want to touch and feel and like really engage in it. And then, he's talking about the process of just, you're not just digitally finding something, click. It's like, no, if I see something, it catches my eye, then I go through this whole process now. And I might take one photo. It takes me an hour or 30 minutes to take one photo. But it's a lot more enjoyable than just being like, click, instant gratification, cool.
It is.
Next.
You have to slow down to get involved. But I'm going to put my opinion here because, I am who I am. If you want to shoot film, I am all for it. I think film is an amazing medium.
Yeah.
But once you scan that baby in and start manipulating it, you're just doing digital the hard way.
Yes, you are.
If you really want to do film, you need to print it.
Yeah.
And you need to print it yourself in a darkroom. Start with black and white. You can set up a darkroom in your house. I've spoke several times with Eric, the manager here in Oklahoma City, as well as Robert Lake in Tulsa, about having some film classes where we're going to talk about loading, shooting the film, daylight processing during the class, letting you look at the negatives. I mean, you don't even need a darkroom to make a contact print. Right. You can just do it with the sun outside. And you can make contact print how we would go through the selection area. Yeah. Then we use an 8X loop to check a 35 mil neg to see if it was sharp. Okay. And now we got digital 40, 100 megapixel cameras, and we're zooming in 3,000% going, look right there. I can see some chromatic variations in that. This picture's no good. Yeah. Does it tell the story? Right. Does it communicate? That's all it really needs to do. It's just a different way of doing it because, hell, we don't write. We take photos.
Well, and I think finishing up, you hit a great point too. Print your photos.
Regardless
if you're taking them on your iPhone or on a digital camera or a film, print your photos. No one does that anymore. The times where like you'd go over your grandparents' house and they'd bring out suitcases of old photos.
Oh my God,
right?
yes.
Those memories. The new generation doesn't have those memories. And, even if I have a friend of mine that would like every time at the end of the year, her mum or whoever would literally download every photo on their phone and just print them all. And just create a book out of it.
Oh my God,
some of them were
awesome.
terrible, right? Who cares?
Who cares?
But it's just that memories and people and connections of having that, because my gran had like suitcases full of old just family vacation and just crap. But it was so much fun to go through because you'd find that one photo. It was like your parents, when they were 6 or whatever it was, like, and there's a story there and it was an event.
Absolutely. And as photographers, we're time travelers.
Yeah.
So we're capturing that moment, just like your family's precious photos. You may have forgot about that moment. You may have forgot about those people. Those people may have passed on. But you can pull that photo out, and that person is instantly transformed to that moment, what they felt. What was the day like? The feelings towards that person. We have that ability to make that connection with the past. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to tell a story.
Yeah, it's just to reignite that memory.
Absolutely. That's what we're doing. We're just memory holders. We're time travelers.
Well, brilliant. Mate, it's been a pleasure.
It's been excellent. Awesome.
How do people find you? You mentioned some websites earlier. You mentioned your photo
The main
group,
website is TrawickImages.com.
Okay.
Then my new website I'm transitioning is DixiePhotoArt.com. That was my call sign in the Air Force, Dixie Kid.
Yeah, because of North Carolina.
Actually, normally the flyers will pick one for you, but I wasn't a flyer. I was a photographer. So it was like, you know what? I'm just going to make my own damn patches. And that's my CB handle. So I'm just going to short to Dixie. Yeah. In fact, I have lots of awards at the house that just say Dixie. Most of the people thought I was a girl.
Until they met you in person.
And then they met you, they're like, where's Dixie? I'm like, well, that's... And my middle name is D.
Okay.
So it kind of fits in. And people say, oh, that's for Dixie. I'm like, no, it's just D.
It's just D.
And I'm a junior, which makes it even worse. And then if it's bad enough, I got my whole family calling me Little Bobby. So...
Oh, boy. Yeah.
How nice that happened. But hey, it was a great podcast. Looking forward to seeing you soon. Or you can come to PhotoCon?
I'm going to be there. Yeah, I'm at PhotoCon. And then for people listening... Eric has told me that the early bird special ends October 1st. So go to the website, PhotoCon OKC, sign up before the early bird special ends. And we'll see you at PhotoCon.
It's going to be great. Are you going to interview anybody there?
I think I'm going to do something, for sure.
Oh, my God, we got some great people coming. Oh, it is going to be off the chain.
So good, but awesome.
Off the chain. You got to go, PhotoConOKC.com. The website's looking great. We're doing the programs for the swag bag. We got great T-shirts.
It's
a little hoodie thing. So, this
and
could
beanies.
Wind up.
By Halloween, it will be time to wear a beanie. It's not right now.
I don't know. This is Oklahoma.
Maybe tomorrow we'll wake up, it's 30 degrees. Everyone will be.
It's supposed to be 100 today or something. It's like, it's stupid.
Yeah, I'm not running today. I'm running.
Yeah, it's really bad. But fantastic. It's great. I'll shoot you some links over.
Definitely.
And if there's anything I can ever do for you or any of your viewers, hit me up.
Yeah, people listening, I'll put the links that Rob's going to shoot over in the description down below. Go check that out. Go check out social medias because you post some great photos. And also your group of great dudes, Red Dirt Photographers.
RedDirtPhotographers.com.
Brilliant.
You can go see our 5 guys in black and white.
Yeah, been a pleasure.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, mate.
Love it.
Yeah, for people listening, we'll catch you next episode. Cheers.
Beautiful.
Hope you guys enjoyed that great episode. Thank you so much for listening. As always, huge shout out to our sponsors, the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, sharing Oklahoma story through its people since 1927. For more information on the Oklahoma Hall of Fame, go to www.oklahomahof.com and follow them on Instagram for daily updates at OklahomaHOF. Our other sponsor, the Chickasaw Nation, amazing sponsor. They do amazing things for the state, and they're always sponsoring something in Oklahoma. They're a huge supporter of Oklahoma, and without their support, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. And our third sponsor is Diffie Ford Lincoln down in El Reno. Now, this one makes me so happy because these guys are great friends of mine, play a lot of golf together. I've bought my cars from them, do most of my oil changes down there, have a cup of coffee, hang out down in El Reno. It's a good spot to go. And not only are they great friends, but they provide a great service. So for over 60 years, third generation family owned Oklahoma business down in El Reno. They're also in Bethany as well. So people in the Bethany area know the Diffies really well. But if you're looking for anything new, used, Ford, Lincoln, or whatever, I'm sure they could find anything you want. Check them out, diffieford.net, and then on Instagram at diffiefordlincoln. This episode is brought to you by the Doghouse OKC. Recently, I have been in need of some doggy daycare for my 2 pups, and the Doghouse have come in clutch. The team over there are incredible. They've taken care of my 2 golden doodles, and so it's been an honor to partner with them on the podcast and share the love. And the one thing that I do with the sponsors that I have is stuff that I use and recommend, like the Diffies with my car, Hall of Fame. They're awesome. Citizens Banks, where I bank. Chickasaw Nation, huge supporter of Oklahoma. And adding to that is the Doghouse. And so if you're in need of doggy daycare in the day or boarding overnight, they do grooming and other cool things too. But I've had a fantastic experience, and it's an honor and a privilege to share this with you too. So go to thedogHouseOKC.com and follow them on Instagram at thedogHouseOKC. And hopefully our pups will run into each other.
Thank you for listening. We are inspired by those around us and hope that you are too. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review so we can keep telling your stories. For more great Oklahoma content, follow This Is Oklahoma on Facebook and Instagram.